Hello and welcome to lifeconfident.com, and in today's live stream I'm going to cover stage 2 or phase 2 of getting from sitting down in a social setting, in a party, in a bar, a pub, a nightclub, wherever you may be, a wedding venue, and you're sitting down there, maybe you're alone, having a drink, thinking about life, whatever, and you look across a room and you see somebody you like the look of, and you'd like to approach them and talk to them and maybe even get a date out of it. All assuming that you're single at that moment in time, of course. But the point of this is getting from A to B. A being sitting on that stool, that chair, standing against the bar, whatever you're doing, spotting somebody you'd like to approach and talk to, and actually getting to them and getting into a conversation with them. And getting into a proper conversation, not just saying hi and then your mind going blank and getting stuck for something to say, but actually getting into a conversation. So we're on stage 2. And in stage 1, we talked about a process, or it's not so much a process, but just the mechanics of getting yourself moving. We talked about that little window of opportunity that you have, the 5-second window of opportunity before all your thoughts rush into your mind, rush into your mind and start telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't be approaching that person and why you should just stay where you are, keep a low profile and not get noticed by anyone, because any other possible outcome would result in embarrassment and humiliation and all that good stuff. So we don't want that. We don't want to be talking ourselves out of these little life opportunities. We want to be rushing headlong into them and embracing them. That's how life is done. That's how we grow as people. That's how we develop friend networks. That's how we get into relationships, and in fact how we get promotions at work, through human relations. It's not, unfortunately, always about how good you are at a job, but it's about who you know, not how you know how to do it, but who you know in order to climb that ladder. And that's just life, that's reality. If you can do both, then great. But we're focusing right now on the human relations part of it, and in this series of 5 we're discussing a process, my process of getting from that A to B. And in step 1 we talked about the 5-second window of taking action. So let's say you spot someone across the room and you have that initial thought, wow, that person looks great. I bet they're nice to talk to. I bet they look really nice. Look at them, they're laughing, they're smiling, they look so nice. I wish I could just talk to them and get to know them. And then you leave it too long. Beyond that 5-second window, you think about it and you watch them and you think, wow, how nice it would be to talk to them and get into a conversation and go for a date with them. How great would that be? And you're thinking and thinking about it and you're building it up in your mind. And what you're not doing is acting. What you're doing is delaying that action and giving the inner voice chance to pile in with its opinions and tell you about the downsides. And it can be a persuasive little voice, can't it? And it'll almost always talk you out of doing these things. So you've got that 5 window of opportunity. We discussed Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule. You count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you go, you do the action without further thought. So you see somebody, you get off your stool, you get off your chair, you put your drink down, and you start walking towards them. Simple as that. That's stage 1. That's acting before you can consciously weigh up the options and the downsides. Take action. Stage 1. Stage 2. This is a 5-stager. Stage 2 now. Well, stage 2 and stage 3 really happen at the same time, so I can only cover one at a time. And in this live stream, I'm going to cover what I call it's a 2-parter. It's all about remembering names. Because I don't know if it's happened to you. You get into a conversation, you introduce yourself to each other, the other person says, hi, I'm let's say their name is Sam, and you give your name and then you get into it. They talk, you talk, or maybe they just talk and you listen. But the point is, 30 seconds down the line into the conversation and you've forgotten their name. But maybe they're using your name happily enough, but you've forgotten their name and now you're embarrassed and you're thinking about this and it's building up in your mind and you're thinking, how can I speak without bringing their name into it, without it being obvious that I've forgotten their name? I'm going to have to carry out the rest of this conversation without using their name because I've forgotten it. And I hope they don't notice that. Now, some people that are less conscious would just ask the person what their name is. Say, hey, look, I've forgotten your name. Please remind me. What's your name? And they'll be happy to tell you. But for those of us more self-conscious, we won't go down that road. We'll try and mask over it and pretend that we haven't forgotten and just talk without using their name. But the issue builds up in your mind and it's a form of low self-confidence. You're losing confidence in this scenario. Your self-esteem is taking a hit. And chances are, by the time you part company with that person, you're not going to see them again. Maybe you'd like to, but you're too embarrassed in your own mind. Maybe the other person hasn't even noticed an issue at all. But in your own mind, you've built up this big issue and you're embarrassed about it and you're probably not going to see them again. Maybe you've got no choice. Maybe you're working with them. I don't know. But the point is, this is a roadblock that's happening in your mind when your mind should be free to flow in the conversation. But instead, it's dealing with this issue while at the same time trying to listen to the other person. So we need to try and get over that issue of forgetting names. Now, this is a skill, remembering names. And it's not something that you can do just like that. You have to train yourself and learn how to do it. And in my trainings, I do it as a two-parter because it's not just a quick wham bam thank you ma'am. It's something, it's a skill, a life skill that you have to learn. So part one is all about identifying a standout feature on the other person's face. It doesn't have to be an attractive feature. It's just got to be something that you would notice. And not just notice this time, but if you saw that person again a year from now, it would have to be the same feature that you would notice again. It would be the first feature that you thought about, that occurred to you when you looked at their face. Maybe it's a big nose. Maybe it's big eyes. Maybe it's striking green eyes. Maybe they've got really vibrant emerald green eyes. Maybe they've got a big nose. Maybe they've got a big mouth, big lips, a really strong jawline, a really big forehead, ears that protrude. Whatever it is, as you're approaching the person, be looking at their face for that standout feature that you can hang your coat on, to coin a phrase. So that's it. That's stage two. The way I like to think of it is that I'm throwing a lasso around this person that I'm approaching. And that lasso is just a metaphor for my attention, because I don't want my attention to be in my own head as I'm walking towards them, because then I've got the opportunity to talk myself out of what I'm doing. So I want my attention to be outside of myself, so I can't be indulging in my own negative self-talk. So I've got off the stool in stage one and I've got myself moving towards the person. Now I want my attention to reach them before I physically reach them. And the first way I do that is by throwing that lasso of attention around them, by looking at their face and looking for a standout feature. This is stage one of a two-parter for remembering names. So it's getting a bit messy, isn't it? We've got a two-parter inside a five-parter. Forget about all that, 5 parts, 2 parts, all that. Let's focus on these 5 stages of this series of live streams. So part 2 is actually identifying, analysing a person's face, the person that you're approaching. Simple as that. The second part of the remembering names, I'll not introduce you to that just yet. Let's keep this clean and simple. Part 2 is or stage 2 of the approach is all about looking at that face and analysing it and identifying a standout feature. I mean, look at my face right now. What's the first feature you notice about it? What if you saw me, if you didn't see me again for another year? Let's say this is the first time you've ever seen my face, and you're walking towards me. Look at my face, and what's the first feature that you notice about me? Maybe it's my eyes. Maybe it's the discoloration beneath my eyes. I can talk about that now freely. It used to be a big issue of low confidence for me. I used to have dark circles. I still do. And I used to have excess skin at a very young age. I had surgery to get rid of it, but you can't get rid of these things completely. I'm not self-conscious about it anymore. So maybe that's the first thing that you notice about me as you approach me. I mean, this process is only going on in your own mind. You're not going to ever tell me about it. So you can choose whatever feature you like. You can exaggerate it. If I have a bland face, if nothing stands out, then you can exaggerate the feature, or you can create a feature. But this is going a step beyond the boundaries of this live stream. At the end of this series of live streams about approaching a person, there's 5 stages. I'm going to release some training, and I'm going to make it available to you for free. Now, I'm going to be taking these sessions from other trainings which are not free trainings, and so these are sessions that are within paid trainings, and I'm going to be pulling them out and putting them together in a different order for this particular mini training. So these are premium sessions I'm putting together, which will be a free training for you. So you're not just getting some very shallow overview of a training. You're getting the actual training yourself, and I'm going to make that available for you. And it's going to be inside a members area of my website, lifeconfident.com. Anyone that's interested in that training, let me know. Contact me on richard@lifeconfident.com. Just write to me and say, look, I'm interested in this training. You don't have to say anything else. Just put it in the title, the subject title of your email, if you like. And I'll put you on a list of people that are interested. And once I've put the training together, I will let you know, and I'll manually add you to the membership site, and you can go in and you can go through the trainings, these 5 sessions, because they'll of course go into much deeper detail than I'm doing on this live stream. I mean, there's much more to the membering names session than I'm covering here. I'm just doing a very light skim over the top of it. I mean, I've said exaggerate features now. You might be thinking, well, how do I possibly do that? How does that help me? Now, that's where the trainings will come in. If you want to really get into this and learn this life skill, then you need to go and do the trainings. And like I say, there's no trick here. There's no trapdoor into a paid subscription or anything like that. It's going to be totally free. So if you're up for that, if you're into it, then drop me an email and let me know. Otherwise, tune into the next live stream where I'll cover stage 3 of this 5-phase process of getting from wanting to talk to somebody to actually talking to them. But not just talking to them, being engaged with them. Because you're probably thinking at this point in time, well, what happens when I get to them? And I'm not thinking about it, so I've taken the action, I've got to them, but now I'm in that situation where I have no clue what to say to them. Well, I'm going to cover that as well. I'm going to show you how, with a memory trick, how you can initiate a conversation and guide it. It's called Conversation Face, and it's my own invention. It's my own copyrighted creation. You'll have never heard of it before. It's exclusive to Life Confident, and it's a roadmap of a conversation structure. And you'll have to wait for the 5th live stream to learn it, or the 4th one actually. The 5th stage will be the part 2 of remembering names. So that will be stage 4. Is this strategy I call face map. and it's well worth tuning in for that one. So for this live stream, I'm going to say that I'm wrapped up now, and I hope you're here for the third live stream, this third stage of getting to talk to somebody. And I hope I've been a little bit inspiring and motivating, and you're up for it, and you could be there for the next live stream.